And one of the greatest ironies of it all is that there's this process that we've come to realize about how expertise is acquired. So the very first people that the the technical team always turns to when they walk into an engagement is, I want to talk to the SME. I want to talk to the subject matter expert, right?
Yeah.
Because this
Yep.
is the oracle that's going to tell us everything we need to know. Well, what we've learned about expertise is there's a paradox to it. The more of an expert you become, the more detail you internalize and the more information you forget.
Okay.
Which is, think about that. The more of an expert you become, the more detail you internalize and the more you forget. So, what winds up happening for those that have any interest in this is when you first learn a skill, all of the information is processed up right behind your forehead, your prefrontal cortex. Your brain is a computer. It runs on power processing and storage. And when you're actively thinking through all of the stuff, like you're learning to play guitar or piano or
Yeah.
any, right? You're thinking about all of that stuff in the front of your mind, and it's sucking up a lot of juice, a lot of power, a lot of storage, a lot of processing. Well, there's kind of a ghost in your machine. We have a bit of an operating system that handles in a lights out fashion 95, 97% of everything that our body does, of everything our brain
Yep.
does. Well, that operating system realizes that we're spending a lot of time learning something, sucking up a lot of resources, so it decides to make us more efficient, and it transfers the processing of that information from the prefrontal cortex at the highest human part of your brain down to the lowest lizard portion of your brain,
Okay.
the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. So it lays down these dedicated neural circuits, literally like a circuit on a chip, that hard codes the knowledge that you had.
Okay.
Now, the advantage of that is that you can do everything really lights out.
Yeah.
Experts do
Which I
things
think you see with things where, like, as somebody becomes an expert, you aren't
automatic,
necessarily actively engaging in these things. They just become this auto response where it's
right?
just like, I just know what I need to do. And
And they
it's,
just do
again,
it.
it's your brain being efficient. It's like, yep, you know what you need to do. So we're just going to move this down to the level where you're not actively thinking anymore. And you're just doing.
But here's the paradox and here's the irony. So the SME that we turn to has got everything so automated in his brain that he does it lights out. The
Yep.
problem is he only remembers about 5 to 7 he or she only remembers about 5 to 7 things of their entire process. It's a very summarized story, and everything else they've forgotten. So
Yeah.
when the tech guy goes to do business requirements, or the business analyst, the project manager, whoever it does, and they ask the SME what you did, the SMEs respond, "Oh, you do this and this and this, and that's it." And the techie go, "It's that easy? That's it? That's all there is?"
Anybody who's done like a process mapping session,
Has
I
seen it.
guarantee anybody who watches, you could relate to this, where you're like, okay, we pulled all the SMEs together and we've got this massive, complicated global process. So let's put the sticky notes on the board and map this thing out. And there's like 8. And you're
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
no, I know there's more happening.
But
And
but
you're like,
they're telling you,
I
"No,
don't
no,
think
that's it.
so.
That's all there is to
That's
it."
it. That's all we do. Yep.
So the poor tech team goes away and a month later they've coded everything they think that they've been told to code. They present it to the business, and the business looks at them and goes, "What's this?
Yeah.
This doesn't have
Yeah.
this, and this." And well, you didn't tell me that. Well, you
Well,
should have
or
known.
worst case, or worse, it doesn't even get caught there and it goes into implementation. And then all of a sudden people go, well, why isn't it doing this? And you're like, why isn't it doing, how
You
would I
didn't
have
tell
known
me.
it needed to do that? You didn't tell me that. Well, we always do that. And you're like, it wasn't one of the 8 sticky notes.
You know, when you talk about it like this, it's downright comical.
It is. It's
It's
not
like,
funny when you're in the middle of it. When you
no,
reflect back on it, you can laugh a little bit.
it's a lot like an Abbott and like the Abbott and Costello Who's on First skit.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Oh, I've seen it.
I mean, for those who don't know what we're talking about and who don't know who Abbott and Costello are, go to YouTube and just pull up
Yeah,
Abbott
look
and
it up.
Costello Who's on
You'll
First,
you'll get a good laugh out of it.
and you'll figure it out, and then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But the irony of this whole mess is that we keep doing this, and then
Yeah.
to fix the problem, we do more of the same, which just digs us into
Yeah,
a
let's
deeper
just pull in
hole.
more SMEs. We just need more SMEs. Let's just get more of the SMEs in the room to do it. And now you've got 8 conflicting Post-it notes.
Yeah, because they've only remembered their significant piece of the story.
Right.
Everything else has been left out. Yeah, so it's not like that could create any problems at all. But I think, getting to the issue of ethical behavior and the way we do this, our knee-jerk response is always to blame somebody. Either
Yes.
business blames the IT people when people don't do what we think they should do or they do what we think they shouldn't. The human knee-jerk is to assume malice,
Yes.
right? They
Assume the
were
worst.
that was
And you see this, I have seen this completely annihilate corporate cultures. Like I've seen this just destroy functional cultures and make people, I mean, because what we just described,
yeah,
you do that so many times, it rips your soul out.
it's
I mean,
tough.
you just start to go, what am I doing here? I'm working as hard as I possibly can only to get thrown under the bus,